Imagine waking up one day trying to get out of bed and you can't. Your muscles simply don't respond like they used to. A simple movement you've done thousands of times now becomes a daily struggle. For many people over 60, this isn't a distant possibility, but a sad reality. Did you know that starting at age 40, we naturally lose about 1% of our muscle mass per year, and that after 70, this loss can reach 15% per decade? That means if you're 80 years old today, you may have lost up to 30% of the strength you had at 50. And the most striking thing, this silent loss has a name, sarcopenia, and it's making millions of Americans dependent on help for basic tasks like getting out of a chair, climbing stairs, or even showering alone. It's as if, little by little, they become prisoners within their own bodies. But today I bring you news that can completely change your perspective on aging. A single food costing just pennies can be the difference between dependence and freedom in your golden years. A food that, for decades, has been unfairly demonized, but that modern science now points to as one of the greatest allies against muscle weakness. I'm Dr. Alexander King, a specialist in preventative health and healthy longevity. And today I'm going to reveal the truth that many professionals are still reluctant to accept. Sarcopenia is much more than just a natural weakening. It's a serious medical condition that affects more than 50% of people over 80, but begins to subtly manifest itself long before that. Remember the last time you had trouble opening a jar of pickles? Or when you needed to hold onto the handrail to climb just one flight of stairs? These small signs, which we often ignore, are the first alerts that something is happening to our muscles. Mrs. Susan Miller, a 68-year-old patient, came to my office after noticing that she could no longer carry groceries like she used to. "Doctor, I thought it was just a normal part of aging," she told me. That's exactly the problem. We normalize frailty as if it were an inevitable fate of aging. What most people don't know is that sarcopenia doesn't just affect strength, it compromises the entire metabolism. Muscles are the largest consumers of glucose in our body. When we lose muscle mass, our ability to process sugars decreases, increasing the risk of diabetes. In addition, muscles are true batteries of essential proteins that our body uses when we need to fight infections or recover from illnesses. Have you noticed how it's harder to recover from a simple cold as you get older? Part of that is directly related to muscle loss, and most alarmingly, statistics show that people with advanced sarcopenia are 3 times more likely to suffer serious falls. And we know that after age 65, a hip fracture results in permanent loss of mobility in more than 50% of cases, and up to 30% of people don't survive the first year after this type of accident. Can you imagine the impact this has on quality of life and on self-esteem? Ask yourself, are you noticing signs of weakness that didn't exist a few years ago? Are you avoiding certain activities for fear of not being strong enough? The good news is that, unlike many conditions associated with aging, sarcopenia can be prevented and even reversed with simple measures. And that's where the most underrated food in your fridge comes in. For decades, we've been taught to fear the egg. It will raise your cholesterol. It's bad for your heart. You can't eat more than 2 per week. These recommendations, based on limited studies from the 70s and 80s, have created an entire generation of people who avoid one of the most complete and accessible foods on the planet. But science has evolved, and today we know the truth. The egg is not only safe for most people, but it can be one of the most powerful allies against muscle loss. Let's analyze what's inside this seemingly simple shell. And the egg is one of the richest, accessible sources of leucine, vitamin D, essential for calcium absorption and bone health, but also fundamental for muscle function. Studies show that vitamin D deficiency is directly linked to muscle weakness and increased risk of falls. Choline, a rarely mentioned nutrient, but crucial for neurological function and communication between nerves and muscles. One egg provides 25% of an adult's daily choline needs. Vitamin B12, vital for cellular energy production and nervous system health. B12 deficiency causes weakness, fatigue, and can even be mistaken for dementia in the elderly. Iron and zinc, essential minerals for protein synthesis and muscle recovery, especially after exercise. Mr. Harry Johnson, a 79-year-old gentleman I've been treating for over 5 years, lived with leg pain and difficulty moving around. When I analyzed his diet, I discovered that he practically didn't consume any protein in his main meals, just bread with butter for breakfast, pasta for lunch, and vegetable soup for dinner. We introduced just 2 eggs for breakfast and 1 for dinner. In just 8 weeks, he reported that the pain decreased significantly and that he began to feel more steady when walking. "Doctor, I even went back to the farmer's market alone," he told me, with tears in his eyes. And no, Mr. Johnson's cholesterol didn't go up. On the contrary, his exams showed improvement in HDL levels, the so-called good cholesterol. This confirms what recent studies have already shown. For most people, moderate egg consumption is not only safe, but can improve the lipid profile. Are you consuming enough protein in your meals? Have you thought about how many times a week you include eggs in your diet? Now that we understand the power of eggs in preventing and combating sarcopenia, let's get to what really matters: how to include them in your daily routine in a practical and tasty way. The first step is to understand that protein distribution throughout the day is as important as the total amount. Recent research from the University of Texas shows that our muscles respond best when they receive 25 to 30 grams of protein per meal, at least 3 times a day. That means it's no use concentrating all your protein intake in a single meal. The famous steak for lunch isn't enough to keep your muscles healthy if the rest of the day your diet is low in protein. Mrs. Lucy Carter, that 74-year-old lady I mentioned earlier, transformed her life when she learned to better distribute protein throughout the day. Before, she only ate well at lunch. Now her routine includes, and the best part, these are simple, quick, and economical preparations. But I'm hearing some of you thinking, "Doctor, won't I get tired of eating eggs every day?" The answer is, not if you know how to vary them. There are dozens of ways to prepare this versatile food. Hard-boiled eggs, great for preparing in advance and taking as a snack. Scrambled eggs can be enriched with vegetables, herbs, and spices. Omelets, true complete meals when stuffed with vegetables. Poached eggs, elegant and delicious on whole wheat toast. Fried eggs, perfect for complementing a vegetable dish. Air fryer eggs, for those looking for practicality. Shakshuka, eggs cooked in tomato sauce, a delight that many don't. No. Another important point, the egg can and should be combined with other nutritious foods. Adding vegetables increases the intake of antioxidants and fiber. A pinch of turmeric in scrambled eggs adds anti-inflammatory properties. A drizzle of extra virgin olive oil provides healthy fats essential for vitamin absorption. And remember, to preserve the nutrients as much as possible, prefer preparations that don't overheat the yolk, such as boiled, poached, or scrambled eggs on low heat. Can you imagine how you would include more eggs in your daily diet? Which of these preparations seems most appealing to your taste and routine? Proper nutrition is fundamental, but represents only 1/3 of the solution to preserve and recover muscle mass. The other 2 equally important pillars are physical movement and restful sleep. First, let's talk about movement. Many people over 60 avoid exercise for fear of injury or because they believe they're too old. This is one of the biggest misconceptions in our culture. Dr. Mark Peterson from the University of Michigan demonstrated in his studies that people up to 90 years old can gain muscle mass with adequate training. That's right. Muscle responds to stimulus at any age. I'm not suggesting you start lifting heavy weights or sign up for CrossFit classes. The secret lies in consistency and gradual progression. Simple activities like, it's as if exercise opens the door of the muscle cell and the protein enters to do the reconstruction work. The case of Mr. Jack Thompson, 82 years old, illustrates this point well. He started by including 2 eggs for breakfast and doing just 5 minutes of walking in the yard 3 times a day. After a month, he could walk 15 minutes continuously. In 3 months, not only did the walk become longer, but he also went back to gardening, something he had abandoned due to lack of strength and energy. The third pillar, often neglected, is sleep. It's during deep sleep that our body releases anabolic, building, hormones essential for muscle regeneration. An older adult who sleeps poorly may be sabotaging all the efforts made in nutrition and exercise. Some simple strategies can significantly improve sleep quality. Just by adjusting her sleep routine and including eggs in her daily diet, without even starting an exercise program, she reported significant improvement in disposition and steadiness when walking after just 6 weeks. It's the synergy between these 3 elements, diet rich in quality proteins like eggs, consistent movement and restful sleep, that creates the ideal environment to reverse sarcopenia. Like gears of a perfectly adjusted machine, each element enhances the effect of the other. Reflect a little. How is the quality of your sleep currently? Can you identify habits that may be harming your rest? And regarding movement, have you included any physical activity, even if light, in your daily routine? Throughout my years of clinical practice, I've realized that often it's not the lack of information that prevents people from adopting healthier habits, but rather limiting beliefs and ingrained myths. Let's address the main obstacles that may be preventing you from incorporating more eggs into your diet. Dietary cholesterol has limited impact on blood cholesterol compared to the consumption of trans fats and refined sugars. Myth 2. Only the egg white is healthy. The yolk should be avoided. The truth: the yolk contains more than half of the egg's protein and practically all the nutrients such as vitamins A, D, E, K, and the B complex, as well as minerals such as iron and zinc. Discarding the yolk is throwing away the most nutritious part. Myth 3. People with diabetes can't eat eggs. The truth: studies indicate that regular egg consumption may even improve glycemic control in diabetics, thanks to its low glycemic index and high satiety power. Of course, each case is unique and should be discussed with the doctor. Myth 4. It's too late to recover muscle mass after 70. The truth: research in gerontology shows that even people in advanced age, 80+ years, can gain strength and muscle mass with the combination of exercise and proper nutrition. It's never too late to start. Myth 5. Eggs cause allergies in the elderly. The truth: although food allergies can occur at any age, the development of new allergies in old age is relatively rare. Most people who believe they have an egg intolerance have never been properly diagnosed. Mr. Anthony Bennett, 77 years old, refused to eat eggs because the doctor forbade it 30 years ago, due to his cholesterol. After an updated assessment and a gradual test, we discovered that he not only tolerated eggs well, but his cardiovascular health improved after 3 months of regular consumption, possibly due to the reduction in the consumption of refined carbohydrates that were replaced by this more nutritious food. Another common obstacle is the practical aspect. Many older people find it difficult to prepare elaborate meals. That's why I emphasize simple and practical recipes, such as boiled eggs that can be prepared once a week and stored in the refrigerator, or quick omelets that take only 5 minutes to get ready. Mrs. Mary Smith, 81 years old, widowed and living alone, found it difficult to cook just for one person. I taught her how to prepare half a dozen boiled eggs on Sundays and keep them in the refrigerator, ready to consume throughout the week. This simple strategy helped transform her diet and, consequently, her strength and energy. It's impressive how small changes, when maintained consistently, can bring extraordinary results. Have you tried incorporating more eggs into your diet before? What prevented you from maintaining this habit in the long run? We've reached the end of our conversation today, and I hope you're as enthusiastic as I am about the transformative potential of a food as simple and accessible as the egg in preventing and combating sarcopenia. Let's recap the main points we discussed. Then we discovered how the egg, unfairly demonized for decades, is actually a superfood for our muscles, rich in high-quality protein, leucine, the trigger for protein synthesis, essential vitamins like D and B12, as well as important minerals like iron and zinc. We learned practical strategies to incorporate eggs into various meals throughout the day, ensuring a constant supply of nutrients for our muscles. We understood the importance of the tripod of muscle health, diet rich in quality proteins, regular movement, and restful sleep, and how these three elements work in synergy. Finally, we debunked outdated beliefs about eggs and health, allowing you to make decisions based on up-to-date scientific evidence, not on unfounded fears. The message I leave you with today is one of hope and empowerment. You have much more control over how your body ages than you imagine. Frailty is not inevitable. Dependence is not a sealed fate. With smart food choices like the regular inclusion of eggs, consistent movement, and good sleep habits, you can maintain your strength, mobility, and independence for much longer. Think about the examples I shared today. Mrs. Lucy Carter, regaining the confidence to go out alone. Mr. Harry Johnson returning to the farmer's market. Mrs. Teresa Evans improving her disposition. Mr. Jack Thompson resuming care for the garden. All these stories have something in common, small changes that led to big transformations in quality of life. And now, what will you do with this information? Start today. Include an egg in your dinner tonight. Tomorrow, try 2 for breakfast. Take a few extra steps around the house. Establish a more regular sleep routine. If this content was helpful to you, don't keep it just to yourself. Share this video with friends and family who may benefit from this information. Subscribe to the channel to receive more content like this, which combines accessible science with practical strategies for healthy and independent longevity. Remember, every meal is an opportunity, every movement is a choice, and every healthy choice is an investment in your future. I'm Dr. Alexander King, and I'm here to remind you that the best age can be, in fact, the age you're at now, as long as you have the right tools to live it to the fullest. Until the next video, and don't forget to include that extra egg in your day today.